As December 2025 unfolds, one name continues to dominate international entertainment conversations with striking consistency: Jungkook. Despite having only recently returned from South Korea's mandatory military service, Jungkook of BTS has once again found himself at the center of global media attention. Western publications, industry commentators, and music analysts are increasingly framing him not merely as a K-pop idol, but as the face of a new generation of K-pop, one that transcends language, geography, and traditional genre boundaries. This renewed attention is not driven by a single viral performance or a surprise release. Instead, it reflects something far more telling: Jungkook's sustained cultural relevance, even during periods of relative silence. In a music industry where momentum is often fleeting, Jungkook's presence remains remarkably steady. As BTS approaches a new chapter with members completing their military duties, Jungkook's name appears repeatedly in discussions about the group's future, the evolution of K-pop, and the global pop landscape heading into 2026. The question many Western observers are now asking is not whether Jungkook will remain influential, but how central his role will be in shaping what comes next. Long before military enlistment, Jungkook had already begun to occupy a unique space within the global music industry. Unlike many idols whose popularity remains concentrated within the K-pop ecosystem, Jungkook demonstrated an unusual ability to cross cultural lines. His solo releases prior to enlistment achieved notable success on global charts, resonating with listeners who may not traditionally engage with Korean pop music. Western commentators frequently point to Jungkook's musical versatility as a key factor in this crossover appeal. His work incorporates elements of pop, R&B, and contemporary Western production styles, while retaining the emotional delivery and performance discipline associated with K-pop training. Rather than being perceived as an idol experimenting with Western sounds, Jungkook was often described as a global pop artist who happened to come from K-pop, a subtle but significant distinction. By late 2025, this framing has only strengthened. Media analyses now place Jungkook alongside a small group of artists seen as bridges between regional pop industries and the global mainstream. The phrase, "face of a new generation of K-pop," carries considerable weight, particularly when it emerges organically from Western media discourse rather than fan-driven narratives. In December 2025, multiple opinion pieces and industry commentaries describe Jungkook as emblematic of K-pop's evolution, from a genre once viewed as niche or novelty to a permanent force in global pop culture. What distinguishes Jungkook in these discussions is not just his popularity, but his timing. He represents a generation of artists who debuted during K-pop's global expansion, matured alongside its mainstream acceptance, and are now positioned to lead its next phase. For Western observers, Jungkook embodies a form of continuity, someone familiar enough to global audiences to feel established, yet young enough to represent the future. Rather than framing him as a trend, media narratives increasingly describe Jungkook as a stabilizing figure, a constant presence in an industry known for rapid change. Military service has historically functioned as a reset point for South Korean male celebrities. Careers often slow, public attention shifts, and artists must reintroduce themselves upon return. Jungkook's post-military experience appears notably different. Instead of fading from public consciousness, his return has been accompanied by heightened anticipation. Analysts attribute this to several factors: BTS's enduring global fan base, Jungkook's solo success, and the broader cultural moment surrounding BTS's eventual full group reunion. Western media have observed that Jungkook emerges from military service not as someone rebuilding momentum, but as an artist whose cultural capital remains intact, and possibly amplified. This phenomenon challenges long-standing assumptions about career interruptions in K-pop and suggests a maturation of both the industry and its global audience. Perhaps the most significant element of Jungkook's current media framing is symbolic rather than statistical. In Western discourse, Jungkook is increasingly positioned as evidence that K-pop has entered a phase of artistic maturity. He is not discussed solely in terms of choreography, visuals, or fandom metrics, but as an artist navigating long-term career sustainability, creative identity, and global influence. This shift mirrors changes in how Western media now approach K-pop more broadly. The genre is no longer treated as an emerging trend to be explained, but as an established industry whose leading figures are analyzed with the same seriousness afforded to Western pop stars. In this context, Jungkook's role becomes emblematic. He is not simply representing himself or BTS, but serving, intentionally or not, as a reference point for what the next generation of K-pop leadership might look like. One of the most recurring themes in Western commentary about Jungkook in late 2025 is the idea of leadership. Despite the absence of any formal designation, Jungkook has never publicly claimed a leadership role within BTS, nor has he been officially positioned as the group's spokesperson or creative director. Yet analysts repeatedly note that his actions, influence, and visibility naturally place him at the center of conversations about BTS's future. In media discourse, this phenomenon is often described as informal leadership. Jungkook's presence alone, whether through brief appearances, archived performances, or references in industry discussions, appears to anchor expectations about what BTS's next era may look like. Rather than issuing statements or setting agendas, Jungkook's leadership is perceived through impact rather than authority, a dynamic increasingly common among global pop figures. While Western media frame Jungkook as a generational symbol, fan discourse presents a more nuanced, emotional landscape. Among global fans, admiration often coexists with concern. Online discussions frequently emphasize the weight placed on Jungkook's shoulders, questioning whether it is fair for one individual to carry such expansive expectations. This tension highlights a key difference between media narratives and fan sentiment. Where media see symbolism and representation, fans see a human artist navigating intense scrutiny and pressure. Yet both perspectives intersect on one point. Jungkook's importance to the broader K-pop narrative is undeniable. The difference lies in interpretation, celebration versus caution. In an era dominated by constant updates and algorithm-driven visibility, Jungkook's relative silence in late 2025 has become a narrative in itself. Western commentators increasingly describe his limited public communication as strategic quietness. Without confirming projects or offering explicit hints, Jungkook allows speculation to build organically. This silence contrasts sharply with the hyper-disclosure common in modern celebrity culture. Rather than diminishing attention, it appears to amplify it. Each absence becomes a talking point, each non-update a source of analysis. For media observers, Jungkook's restraint is framed as maturity, an understanding that anticipation can be more powerful than immediacy. Although December 2025 has not seen a major new release from Jungkook, his streaming presence remains consistent across global platforms. Industry analysts point out that sustained performance without active promotion is a key indicator of long-term relevance. Jungkook's catalog continues to attract listeners across regions, reinforcing the idea that his appeal extends beyond fan-driven spikes. Western media often reference this stability when arguing that Jungkook represents a shift in how K-pop artists are evaluated. Longevity, rather than virality alone, is becoming the new metric of success. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of Jungkook's current image is his role as a cultural intermediary. Media narratives increasingly describe him as a figure who translates K-pop sensibilities into a globally accessible form without erasing their origin. His artistry is neither diluted nor overly localized. Instead, it occupies a hybrid space that feels familiar to diverse audiences. This ability to bridge cultures is cited as a defining trait of the new generation of K-pop, one that no longer seeks validation from Western markets, but engages them as equals. As 2025 draws to a close, discussions about Jungkook inevitably turn toward the future. Industry projections for 2026 often place him at the center of anticipated developments, whether in solo ventures, group activities, or broader cultural initiatives. While none of these projections are confirmed, their sheer volume underscores the scale of expectations surrounding him. Western media caution that such anticipation, while a testament to influence, also carries risk. The pressure to meet or exceed projected narratives can be overwhelming, even for seasoned artists. Jungkook's visibility has also intersected with broader conversations about mental health in the entertainment industry. Without speculating about personal circumstances, commentators use Jungkook as a reference point to discuss the systemic pressures faced by globally recognized idols. His case illustrates how fame, responsibility, and public expectation can converge in intense ways. This framing marks a shift from earlier eras of K-pop coverage, where personal well-being was often overlooked in favor of performance metrics.